Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Turn Left. I am your host, Indiana's own Dana Black, coming to you live, yes, all the way live from Black World Studios, where we talk about Indiana politics from the left side of things. All right, welcome back to another episode of Turn Left. I am your host, Indiana's own Dana Black. Listen, the convention is right around the corner. And at the top of the ticket, the thing that everybody is talking about is which one of our amazing Democrats are going to be on the ballot in November to run for Secretary of State. Now, listen, this seat is more critical now, in my opinion, than it ever has been before, especially in light of the recent SCOTUS decision on the Voting Rights Act. And, Chief Justice Roberts has talked about how racism is gone. It's gone. It's no more. We don't need this thing anymore because there's no more racism. But as soon as they gutted the Civil Rights Act, or the Voting Rights Act, the Voting Rights Act, what did they do? They literally went about the business, especially in southern states, to dilute the power of the black vote by allowing us to have representation. They diluted us by adding us into majority white spaces when we don't even have likenesses and same things that we need. And yes, the Secretary of State's office handles multiple things, and we're going to talk about them today with one of my guests. But I want everyone to be very clear. Who we select as Secretary of State, they are the chief elections officer. They are the ones that they are the ones who are responsible to make sure that the people in the state are following the laws and following the rules and making sure that every Hoosier has access to the ballot. So that's what's at stake here, right? So, Indiana's own Dana Black, I stay neutral. And I give everybody the same opportunity to share their story. So first up, the first to respond to my request, give it up to my good friend, Blythe Potter, who is running for Secretary of State for the state of Indiana. Blythe, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
This is your third visit on Turn Left. Am I right?
I think so. My first one was when I ran for town council in 2023. I had no clue what I was doing either.
but you came and we talked. We actually, I think we bonded like that first go round. And what people may not know is that you gave me an opportunity. You allowed me to produce and create one of your digital campaign ads.
I totally forgot about that.
No, I will never forget about that because we talk about giving different organizations an opportunity to benefit. Like, big consultants will always find their people to do it. But you said, hey, Dana, produce it for me. And we went about the process and thank you because it gave me an opportunity to like enhance my business. Right. So let's start there. Right, Blythe? First, tell the people who you are and where you come from, but also talk about the responsibilities of Secretary of State to small businesses.
Yes, absolutely. So I am Blythe Potter, and I am seeking the Democratic Party nomination for Secretary of State. I am a mom. I have a 5-year-old daughter. I've got 2 now adult stepdaughters. They were 7 and 4 when I met them.
Wow.
I am a small business owner. I've owned a salon and spa in Barkersville, Indiana for the last 8 years, where I'm still working. I still have employees here. And I'm a veteran, which is it's a very exciting thing to say I'm a veteran, but also I understand the irony of like I'm anti everything that war stood for when I was in Iraq.
No, so, I get it.
A lot of learning and unlearning over my life. And Secretary of State is near and dear to my heart. Women, we are constantly being confronted with possibly losing our rights, especially with the SAVE Act still kind of dangling in front of us. But that is the chief election officer, but also the office oversees securities, automobile dealership, organizational paperwork, the InBiz website, which small business owners mostly hate, but we have to use.
I don't visit it that much, but it's hit and miss.
It's a struggle.
Yeah.
Anytime you have to go through that website to do something, there's always a little bit more that I wish that we had access.
Yeah, there's a lot of extra clicks.
Yeah.
that you got to click through?
Most of those sites that the office oversees were done in the late 90s, early 2000s.
Ooh, so
Yeah.
they basically built on the same infrastructure because the navigation is different, right?
Oh,
Because
it's so bad.
yeah, the navigation is different because I've been on there since oh gosh, when 2008. I had to think, when did Obama win his election? But yeah, the navigation. Yeah. Anyway, go back to the website. Sorry,
No,
I'm a tech person, and like I'm like, ooh, if you're not tech savvy, some of that stuff that's on that website is hard to navigate. You're absolutely right. But go ahead.
is, but and I think that's kind of what brings me to what the most of what I do in my life, like being an end user of that website and elections, but also seeing what could be possible, or knowing like pretty easy things that could be fixed. That's how I try to look at things. If I make
Right.
this decision, how is it going to be received or perceived for the people using that? So, it's in my wheelhouse. It's something I've used for a long time. Of course, I wouldn't go and build the website myself. We would have people do that, but
Of course
uh,
not. Like,
I've
come on.
done.
Do people actually think that you would be the engineer that would design the website?
I don't know. I
Okay.
don't. I think still people don't know enough about what, a lot of politicians, most of the time, they get in office and then they're hiring staff and
Hmm.
teams to support, I would argue, 90% of the work,
Yeah.
if not more. So I just think it's important to note that, like, while that is in my wheelhouse, it's not something I would do personally. And I don't even know where I was going with that.
We were talking about the improvements and just the structure and how people navigate and like yeah,
Yeah.
I was following you. I know where you was going. Come on.
Yeah, well, so I owning a salon and spa. I do skin and body work. So I've been in customer service. I started working at Steak and Shake at 14. So I've been of service to people in some capacity for a long time. And being in Indiana with a terrible GOP supermajority,
Hmm.
knowing that our representation is not responsive, they are not serving their community. Like this right here is the chief customer service job. It should be nonpartisan, it should be impartial, and it should be accessible by anyone who needs those services in this state,
Hmm.
whether they are eligible to vote or going to be an entrepreneur. So having that experience and knowing how to manage teams, and most of my job is sadly administrative work, even though that's not like my actual career path. I know how to do administrative work too. So it's right up my alley. I think it's a good place to start with changes that are going to speak to the most people, but also hopefully evolve how Indiana considers politicians and how politicians interact with Indiana residents.
I love that. And one of the things about you is you have definitely run a grassroots, let me talk to the people, very hands on. But, and I wonder if that's because you've already been doing that. Like you were already that 2 election cycles ago.
Yeah.
Let's stop right there. I want to ask a question.
Okay.
Um, I ran for office once. And I ain't done it again. Like, and the joy is that people say I should do it again, but I know the work that goes into it, and I would rather give my energy to helping as many other candidates as I can versus focusing on myself. And it has truly become my passion. What has
And you're
made?
good.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. What is it about your resiliency that has said, you know what? Nope, I didn't win this local office. Nope, I didn't win this state house. But you know what? I'm still fighting because what is it? I'm not going to answer that for you because I feel like I do. But what is it that keeps you saying I'm going to keep trying to represent people?
A lot of things. So initially I ran for town council. I was actually planning on going back to school. My daughter was 2, and I was having trouble navigating. Like, we don't have good accessibility. The placemaking here is really bad. We're very rural, but we're a community that's growing quickly, and we're growing faster than the
Mm-hmm.
infrastructure. If you don't have a car, you're kind of screwed here.
Right.
So just walking her to daycare was frustrating because I'd have to cross like 45-mile-an-hour state highways to get to the trail that led in front of the subdivision and then cross back over that highway with no sidewalk or crosswalk to get there.
Hmm.
We're talking like a 5-minute walk. It shouldn't be that deep, right? So that was initially what I was going to do. I'm going to get a PhD in like something with community or leadership. I'm going to fix Johnson County because it's a hot mess. Well, turns out my post 9/11 GI Bill, they wouldn't let me have it anymore because it expired during COVID. And I had an infant. So I was like, okay, well, how do we do this? And then like within a week, the local Johnson County party chair had posted in the Nasty Women's group here that they had some spots open on the ballot. And I was like, aha, politics. Town hall is right next to me. I'll just run for town council. I'll put everything I think we need to have here on a wish list and we'll see what happens. Not knowing what on earth I was doing, I went up against three very well-known Republicans in the area that were incumbents. And while they won, they were calling people at 5:55 p.m. on election day, trying to get people to come vote.
Mm.
And after the election, they started chipping away at my platform.
Hmm.
So even though I lost, they were still paying attention. And I think the community paid attention because they had never canvassed either. I didn't have van access when I started that. So I walked out of my house with a map in my hand and started marking off which houses I had door knocked and left business cards at. And it is a lot of work. And people who are in municipal elections, if you were listening, it's actually a little bit harder to do municipal than statewide. There's more driving statewide and more people and more personalities. But having people know where you work and being able to make it to like 10 events in one day is also really terrible because it's close.
Right, right.
Municipal is hard, but it's so important. And I do believe that. And so 24, we ran for county council. We forced
county council. That's what it was.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
We, three of my Democratic friends and I forced a primary for the county council seat so that we could make people, maybe entice them to pull a Democratic ballot, right? Of course, we got annihilated that year, as did most Democrats in Indiana. And then after that election, we had some really challenging conversations, my husband and I, about what does next look like. You know, we have a young daughter. We have two girls who plan to leave the state, as many young people do, because the state is not inhabitable or safe necessarily for young people.
And both of you ran last time, which is another unique situation, which I've had him on Turn Left. Go check him out. Michael Potter. He's on Turn Left. Go watch the episode. Go ahead.
Yeah, if you don't already dislike him for being on Facebook, go watch him.
No, we're not talking about him. We're not talking about him. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I know we are a very good team, and we both lived here our entire lives, and that my community, I grew up in a Republican home, and up until like 2006, I identified as a Republican, and that was the cutoff point, because I often told people when they said, thank you for your service, I'd be like, oh, well, your tax dollars paid off my student loans. You paid me very well when I was in Iraq, and you also helped pay for some of my schooling. But having identified as a Republican and then coming home and being told by the military that your service wasn't enough for you to have benefits with the military, even though you're still in, but good luck to you. You have 90 days to find your own insurance. And back then, you couldn't be on your parents' insurance when you were,
because there was no ACA.
Right? Yeah, you're right. So that was a really big eye opener. Like, oh my God, like that's really when I started to understand the gaslighting that is the Republican Party in Indiana. Like, they care about people, but with an asterisk. So I feel like I've gained so much from taxpayer dollars, and I love this state, even though I hate the way the government is.
Because they treat it like a trash can.
They do. We are not, the status quo for them is do as I say, not as I do. Give me the money and power. Do what the party and your leaders say and shut up.
Right.
So, and I don't want to move. I don't want to have to leave the country. I don't want my daughter to be shot when she starts kindergarten, or if my children, any of them end up pregnant or whatever. And there's so many things that we need to fix. And I've seen it on my table also. I've been a body worker for 20 some odd years. Regardless of political affiliation, we all feel the same stress by our politicians. It comes out differently. So that's really it. And we decided in 24, this is go big or go home. He's running for his House seat again. This is the job description of the Secretary of State. I am beyond capable and experienced for these tasks, and I know that we can make good changes with it. So here we are.
I think there's something to be said about, you said the first time you ran, you didn't know what you were doing.
Yeah,
and what lessons have you learned from those from the first campaign to the second campaign to this one? What lessons have you learned to help you be a better candidate? Because I'm going to be real honest. I see that you're a better candidate than you were the first time and the second time to this time. And as someone who's watched your maturation, I have to acknowledge it, right? So what are the lessons that you learned and how did you implement them?
I've taken in a lot of really tough criticism. I've learned a little bit better to handle some of that criticism, but also I've learned, you know, the Republicans are so terrible and they've done so many dumb things. Like,
Dumb.
it doesn't matter what I've done in the last 44 years. None of it is bad as Diego or Mike Braun or Donald Trump. So why not? We have voices, and it is kind of scary being in a red county, being a Democrat, but dipping my toe in the water and also follow, you've stuck with it too. You're a Black female in Indiana. Like, we have to be able to follow what other women are doing and other people in politics. What do we do? Just leave everyone to suffer with our heads buried?
I know as a military person, you're going to relate to this. I struggle right now with people who they send me these messages about, we need to have new leadership here and we need to have new leadership there. And because what I'm hearing when they say that is I'm a grown person who lets another grown person tell me what I can and I cannot do. I have let other people push me off my mark. And I struggle with that, Blythe. Like, I don't get that. You out here talking about you want to make changes in these situations. All you got to do is just do it. And that's what I admire about your campaign. You haven't made any promises. You've just been out here running a campaign that says, hey, I believe that we can be better as a state, especially in these areas. And I just want to tip my hat to you on that because
Thank you.
You haven't let people, you said you had a lot of criticism, but you have not let people push you off your mark. I'm a chicken. I was never going in the military. ROTC told me I don't have, junior ROTC, right? Told me I did not have what it took to join the military. But I imagine your experiences in the military taught you how not to let people push you off your mark. Will you please speak to that?
Yeah, that is something I still struggle with. Imposter syndrome and being a female in this space. Being a no-name female in this space, like it is.
Since you got a name now,
hard, right? It is hard, but also we've seen historically any movement that honors human rights and fundamental rights and gets us to whatever the next step is in a better space is a lot of work. It's always underfunded. Mm-hmm. It's always understaffed. It's always exhausting. Our ancestors have done it. I, as a moderately safe, comfortable white female in kind of rural suburbia, some weird mix, if I can't use where I am in life to speak up for anyone who needs help or to be spoken up for or to preserve our future, then we're all kind of screwed. So, I've been in an Emerging Leaders Project and Who's Your Women Forward. So that has certainly helped too. I have this network and I've been introduced slowly to these spaces and these people. And pretty much we all want the same thing. And not having Van that first year really did help because I found out most people had no idea we had elections coming up. Mm. Most people do not feel heard. And most people feel like, and I've heard you say this before, Dana, when they go to vote, they're just voting for the lesser of two evils. Babe. So how do we change that and shift it? Because the Democrats are not the lesser of two evils. I understand it feels like that, especially sometimes on the federal level. Mm-hmm. And historically, Democrats have done some damage. We need to change that going forward. But we have a good platform. I think it could be stronger, but we have a good platform. We are in a two-party system. We are the only way out of that. And being a Democrat in Indiana, the barrier to entry is so low. Boy. And we have a growing community. We're having a little bit of growing pains, I think, with some of the conversations, especially surrounding this campaign. But I think we're really on the cusp of something big and a really good evolution, not just for the party, but also the state and our communities. Because
Yep.
what Hoosiers have done for 18 months, we have called our reps, we have emailed our reps, we have marched, we have protested, we have talked to our friends, we have gone to meetings. I've been to all 92 counties, and every time I walk into a county party meeting, they tell me they have record number turnout. We have
Wow.
packed rooms in Johnson County. I didn't
Love
know.
that.
I didn't know before I ran for town council that Johnson County even had a Democratic Party.
I did. I'd been to one of their dinners before.
Yeah, they're wonderful.
Yeah.
So
But I'm nosy.
there's just a lot of really
Lot of
fun
energy.
Yeah,
see,
there really is.
And I think that's why I think and you know, this is just a conversation off the cuff here, because me and you are homies, and it's kind of hard for me not to like have a regular conversation with you. So I know it's like I know this was me interview, but it's just gonna be Blythe and Dana right now. I think that's one of the reasons why Republicans were, if ever in the 6 or 7 senators in their infinite wisdoms were like, yo, this ain't the year to piss everybody off. I mean, they will never acknowledge how bad the economy is. They will never acknowledge the Orange Menace's hand in creating the mess that is the economy that we are living in right now. So they'll never do that. But I feel like they were like, listen, if we crack Marion County, like we think we want to crack it into 3 different districts, let me think about that. So there's 600,000 registered voters, and that would be roughly 200,000 in each one of those districts just for Marion County alone. How many counties would we need in those districts to make up for those 200,000 voters in Marion County? Guess what? You ain't got enough. Yep. I think some of them were smart. The pro tem was smart enough to say, we do not want to rile up black voters right now, right? Yeah. We do not want to rile up progressives right now. Let sleeping dogs lie. But here you got the other flip side of that, Blythe, is the party, the party. I can't even say his name. I can't do it. I can't do it. The Orange Party. They spent so much money in those primaries. How much are they going to have left for the general? And then I think about how much are they going to have for the Secretary of State's race. These are just my thoughts. They ain't got nothing to do with your interview, but you just triggered a whole thought process right there.
Well, the money is the hot button issue, right? And I think that's also something that's unique about where we are in time. We've been seeing for the last almost 18 months with special elections and then, of course, the primaries, grassroots candidates are winning and they're being outfunded sometimes 20-1. People are being so harmed right now by our government. Our tax dollars are working against us so abruptly and aggressively right now that people are paying attention, regardless of what the algorithms are saying, and regardless of what the ads and the flyers are saying. People know that they are being hurt. Everyone's paying more for everything, especially those of us who are small business owners, because our personal expenses are higher and now our business expenses are higher. So we need to find a way to modify how we have approached campaigns historically, not just in Indiana, but beyond. And we've done the heavy multi-million-dollar campaigns and lost. We've done the, be very calm and moderate down the aisle, middle of the aisle, which really makes sense because we should be meeting in the middle, but that message isn't resonating either. So,
but wait, Blythe, keep going, because we've done the super progressives and they lost too. So let's not act like listen, I want to be very clear. We have lost at every level, every segment of our party, of these elections in the state. And it's not just people who are blue dogs or just barely left or center. If you can't, I want to say this, and I want to say this with all the love in my heart. If a progressive candidate can't get the majority of the Democrats to vote for them, how do they think they're going to get to flip some seats? We gotta be holistic about this. Like, I agree. Okay, that's all.
And I think that's where we pivot a little bit, right? And I don't think it's about progressive versus moderate or whatever, right?
Thank you.
I think it's about how are these campaigns working for the communities and in the communities. We need to be cautious not to be like so aggressively loud. And you and I had these conversations when we first started talking about this race. Like,
and why I'll never get elected.
Yeah, well, anyway, well, because, and that is another thing I've learned. I've done this, the angry, speaking from the heart, like the world is burning things, right?
Hmm.
That is sometimes intimidating, and people don't always know, especially in Indiana, where you're supposed to be like nice. Who's your nice? We don't talk
Child,
politics, we
please.
don't talk religion, we don't talk money. Like that is ingrained in our souls in Indiana,
Hmm.
especially for women. So we have to be able to communicate better, but we also have to be collaborating better.
Hmm.
And I
That's
think
it.
it is totally it. And we've been working, I say we, I am very much on the periphery of this, but I am involved in it. I've been working alongside and behind Michelle Higgs with the Rural Summit for a long time.
Love Michelle
I do too.
Higgs.
So we have
She's been on the show too. Go check out the episode. I had her with Mary Noon. Go ahead.
they're both amazing
Yeah.
organizers, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So Michelle and Mary, the Rural Summit cohort, which I think our IRS thread now has over 100 people in it and like
Love
60
it.
candidates. So we are working across the state. We will be working with precinct committee people. We have people on engaged. We've got indivisibles across the state. We've got League of Women Voters. We've got all these 501c4s and groups and organizations ready to do something,
Love that.
and we are ready to activate them.
Yeah.
So, yes, we will continue to fundraise. Yes, we need money, but we also need to honor where we are in the economy and use the biggest resources that we have, and that's people. Because right now, people are talking more so than they have in a very long time. We're making these third spaces. We're having these difficult conversations. So we're gonna capitalize on that, and we're gonna activate them. And honest to God, I believe we will be able to organize so well this year that it's going to blow 2008 out of the water for Indiana. And I'm hoping that we can do this in a sustainable way, because what's most important to me, I want the nomination. I want to win this. I know I can do both, but I need to also be able to have people adopt and adapt and replicate what we're doing and have this network ready for 2028.
I love that.
Because if we go into primaries and conventions and saying you are not viable because you don't have $3 million, what are we saying to our future candidates?
Well, but I feel that, but I'm gonna be like, I feel that because there is like, I wish I had more volunteers when I ran for office in 2016 than I had the money. Like I needed the money, yes, but I wish I had more volunteers. So there is validity, and I echo. I'm not trying to make it seem like I have to validate what you're saying. I want to echo what you're saying, but also, right? We must be prepared. I wish it was a different space that we are in, but it's not. Citizens United is here. It is a formative, it is a formal way of really silencing people from participation. I agree with you on that. But when you win, if you win, come through, whatever, me and you gonna talk about fundraising, because I'm sorry. You're not, there's a reason that the fundraising matters, and that's how you get your message out. Just like you said, when you started knocking on doors at the municipal level, there were people who didn't even know that there was an election going on, right? You can knock on every door in a municipal election. You cannot knock on every door and have that conversation at a statewide level. So if after the 6th, your name shows up on the November ballot, I am going to hound you. Like, I am going to hound you like you never believed about, okay, I feel that. I don't disagree with you. I wish we could take money out of politics, but you're going to need money to
We
win.
do need money, but we also,
And don't think about, you said something a minute ago. Oh, I'm sorry, boss. You said something a minute ago. You said, I know that people are having a hard time. Yes, they are. But they may also be holding on to $5 just to give to you, but you just ain't asking for it.
They might be.
Right. So don't assume what people's intentions are with their money. We may know that the economic situation of the space we're in is bad, but don't make assumptions about what people want to do to invest in their communities. That's my advice for that. I'm done.
Yeah. No, I think there needs to be a middle ground.
Yes.
I really do. And I do also think people are running very far away from a lot of the corporations and the corporate people who often fund these. And I think we need to be aware of that as well. So
I wish I could agree with you on that. I wish that I could say that I believe the majority, especially of Democrats, are moving away from that concept. Obviously, we don't want corporations. Hawaii is introducing a bill right now to remove the corporation's ability to influence elections. I would love But you're never going to see a bill like that in Indiana,
Maybe.
as long as there's a supermajority by Republicans. If we ever,
I agree.
right? So I am with you. I don't think corporations should have an outsized influence with money. But I also believe the middle ground that me and you talking about. You can, it's not that you took the money, it's how you behaved after you took the money. So you took the money, you win the election. Do you do the bidding of them, or did you win election to go and do the bidding for the people? I think
that's a gamble.
I like if for Andre Carson, I'm not worried. Like if he takes corporate dollars, I'm not worried because I've seen him in the community. That's the only one I can speak to because that's the only one I really know intimately, right? Like that's the only one. Anybody else I can, but like I think that we also have to ask the question, how can we make the changes that we really want to see at every level of government if we don't win elections?
Yeah, I agree. But also if we continue to mimic campaigns of the past 20 years, we don't engage new voters. Our biggest voting base are non-voters.
I think we need to make sure that we're reaching I had Ethan on. You jumped on when I had Ethan on. And one of the things I loved about his story was how he was able to connect with the community that I could never even walk in. Right. And I'm not screaming racism. That's not what I'm doing. I'm not screaming misogyny. I'm not screaming homophobia. What I understand is that there are spaces that Ethan is going to have a better shot of getting our message out than I will. And I will utilize that. And in that instance, that's what the direction I hope that our candidates move to is understanding where to be strategic and how we deploy our message. Yep. Right. So you're absolutely right. We cannot continue to run campaigns the way we have been running them and thinking that we're going to win. But what needs to change about how we ran those campaigns? That's the question I ask.
I think it's a lot of it. Yeah. And I'm trying to honor what I'm hearing people say they need in campaigns. We're very transparent. We are responsive. We have, objectively, there's nothing my campaign is lacking. And
I love
our
that.
social media is better. Our footprint is better. Mm-hmm. Our platform is stronger. Our responsiveness is stronger. So I think
I love that your responsiveness. To me, responsiveness is like the biggest deal. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like if I can't, that literally candidates, when I knocked on doors the first time back in 2016, I remember knocking on doors and they said, this is the first time I ever had a politician knock on my door.
Yeah.
Right.
I believe.
Like responsiveness. Are you willing to engage with people? That's a big deal for me, Blythe. So I'm glad 100%. Well, hello, baby. Say hi to the people. You came on my screen. You got to say
hi. She's like, I'm out of here. I'll be done in a little bit.
Yes, I won't hold mommy too much longer.
Sweet girl.
Oh, my God. See, my day has just been made.
Oh, she's so sweet. She's such a saint. She puts up with so much with us.
Okay.
But yeah.
I don't want any of our listeners to think that I am anti-Blythe. I hope people know that the only reason why I feel even remotely comfortable enough to really have these hard conversations because I have a love for you that a lot of people just don't know I have, right? Because they don't know the times we've spent talking. They don't know, right? And even though I am publicly neutral because that is the best thing for me and my livelihood, right? I love that you and I have a relationship where we can have real conversations. We embrace each other. We share our differing opinions. And it's not that, you hate me when I'm done. I hate you when we're done. We literally, because the bottom line is we want the same things. We just have different tactics about going about it. And that's why you're one of the reasons why that's one of the reasons why I really love talking to you. I ain't gonna lie. Like, I know this is your interview and I'm talking an awful lot.
It's okay. This is great. I never get to talk to you.
I know. All right, let's get back to it. Because I think it's important for people to also get a feel for you, not just your policies and running the office. And I think it comes down to how do you interact with people, right? Yeah. And just that moment right there, I hope people saw how You interact and you're responsive. I'm telling you, those are huge. All right. All right.
She's
You
sweet.
got talk about, I don't want to talk about policy. I just want to talk to Blythe.
That's my
Um,
thing is the policy.
I know, I know. All right, let's get to it. Let's hit some policy issues. We talked a little bit about small business. I opened the show up talking about voting as the chief election officer. Give us how we know you don't write policy in that office, right? We know this, but talk about your approach to protecting voters and their voting information and what that means to you in that running in that office.
Yes. So we'll start with the voter information and the data. We do know that the state of Indiana sells our data to the tune of over $12 million a year. I suspect once we do an independent audit, which I do want to do, and I want that to be those results to be displayed to the public in real time. I think the Secretary of State's office is also selling business data. I get the most insane number of texts and emails and phone calls trying to get me to buy something for my business. So I would like to put a stop to both of those. And we also know that Diego Morales gave away our voter information and driver's license information and social security information in September of 2025. And while we can't get that data back, I'd like to be able to work with a program similar to, but not specifically like delete me or, the credit alert. So we can start to lock that down. So any damage that has been done doesn't continue to happen and we can get our stuff off the dark web or wherever it may be now. And when I hear people talk about election security, I think there are at least two different camps. We have people who are physically worried about being safe walking into the polls. Maybe they think ICE or National Guard or something would be a barrier to entry. And then we have people worried about their actual votes being safe, which by and large, from my experience and what I'm hearing when I talk to other election workers and people in the clerk's offices, our clerks in this state, regardless of party, take their jobs very seriously. We have a few that have done some sketchy things, but again, it's Republicans, right?
All the time.
That's for them is to be sketchy. So we just need to vote them out. But our poll workers, while they often need more information and education to work, and our election board members, I've heard that in several counties, we need to make sure the public knows how elections are being run, because most people don't know you have an even number of Democrats and Republicans at these sites.
Love that.
And those people take their jobs very
seriously. Yes.
And there are probably some one-off turds who are like, whatever, not doing what they maybe should be doing. But by and large, the physical votes themselves are safe. And I think if we inform the public, offer education to the public in some capacity, in many different ways, so that we make sure they're seeing it, so that they know how these processes work, I think that will help. And I think that will also get more people out to vote if they understand more of what this all looks like, when it's happening, who they're voting on, why. We've kind of been taught not to talk politics in Indiana. So we have to
show that, because see, listen, I'll be over here talking politics every day.
God. Rural Indiana?
Indiana. Okay.
No. You, in my experience growing up as a Hoosier, you are seen, not heard as a female. You do not talk politics, race, or religion. You do what you are told to do. And most of the time, authority is do as I say, not as I do.
That is such an interesting concept, because everything in my Black life has been about politics, because it's always been about access to opportunities. And those access to opportunities are based on policy. So everything, like even when I was a little kid and my parents were getting like the Ebony Jet magazines, like everything in my world was about, I didn't know it then, but being access to opportunities was I again, different lived experience. I can't even imagine not, understanding what MLK or Malcolm X, what they were fighting for. And all of that was politics, right?
And that a lot of that was within like our parents' lifetimes. And we learned, we were taught Christopher Columbus was a good dude. And we just, but also we were gaslit as women and girls. We were gaslit to believe that we all have the same rights. We don't. We do not
Right.
have the same rights. We do not have the same opportunities. We're not treated the same in spaces, in politics and otherwise. I'm a walking banner for that.
Right.
Uh, so we have a lot of things that do need to be changed, that predominantly affects our rural communities.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and the thing is like we need people like you and some of our other more cisgendered, neutral. And I don't mean this in a negative way, please. Folks who can go in and speak to them so that it can be received. Because we can have, like, you and I can have the same speech, have the same talking points. And my God, it is just going to hit different when you walk into a room in rural Indiana than when I walk into the room. But it's also going to hit different if I walk in on 42nd and Post than when you walk in on 42nd and Post. And if you can't acknowledge that, you're never going to have success in this thing. Like, if you do this kumbaya, we're all the same. No, we are not. Yes, genetically, yes, all of that. But people's, like you said, your lived experiences where you don't talk politics. Mm-hmm. My lived experiences is if you want to survive in this mother sucker, you better talk politics. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I wish I had known more about that or how to get involved growing up. But here we are.
We're learning the same education you got. I went to majority white schools. So it wasn't until like the same thing that you got in school, I got. I just had something different at home and at church. Right. Yeah. So I know what education you got. So I know that Christopher Columbus was supposed to be the most child. He got lost.
Ugh.
He got lost.
And he was a total piece of crap.
He was a total piece of crap. And hello, he didn't discover anything. You can't discover something where people are already living. That's the big. Okay, we're going to see. We're
spiraling.
Oh, my God. We're supposed to be talking about your campaign. Okay, you talked about the website. You talked about election integrity. You talked about small businesses. But tell me, November, Wednesday morning, you've won. What is the first thing you're going to do?
Oh, we start talking to the staff. Let's see. Well, I can make some guesses of what the culture is like in the offices that's overseen, but we need to talk to the people. What are their observations and experiences? And I've spoken to people who've worked under the Secretary of State for decades. Mm-hmm. And it's been interesting to see, their critique of previous secretaries of state versus Diego. And the most positive reactions I've gotten were when a woman was running the office. And it's interesting because I get told all the time a woman cannot win this when a woman has won this, just not a Democratic woman. So I would be the first Democratic female elected to Secretary of State. So we let's take a temperature. Let's gauge what's happening in the office. How are people feeling? What are they seeing that could be beneficial to change or evolve? What is the employee manual like? Like what? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what the administrative stuff.
Into? Yeah,
yeah. The administrative. I love that. The prep work.
Yep. The prep work. Seeing what needs to happen. So,
and what would your conversations like? The other thing, like I'm curious about is when all these Republicans scream election integrity and election fraud, and the majority of county clerks in Indiana are Republicans. Have you had a chance to have conversations with them about how they feel that people are telling them they're not doing their jobs right?
A couple of them, yeah, and most clerks are severely underpaid.
Yes.
It is insane the small amount of salary they get. I don't even know that they're living wages in most counties. Yeah. But yeah, and I think that speaks to the information piece. And that is the biggest part of my platform is making sure that we are informing the public of what this office offers and making it accessible. A lot of states have what are called ballot books or a ballot handbook. And in many states, they literally just show up to your registered address where you are registered to vote. Often with an absentee ballot, you have time to look over both. They're comprehensive. I want to create a digital and a physical version. We still have about 10% of the population with no internet in the state.
Lord have mercy.
That's 600,000 or more people. But also some people just want paper, and we may need it in Braille and other forms too.
Sure, so absolutely.
I'd like for people to be able to opt into that. We will be able to budget for that with HAVA grants and things like that.
What's a HAVA grant? I've never heard of that before.
The Help Americans Vote Act, they have grants that are given to states to be dispersed for nonpartisan election information or education.
Interesting.
And Diego has stopped doing that in recent years, which is unfortunate because it is helpful. So I want to try to capitalize on that. And, I won't be buying myself cars and luxury travel and all the things.
You don't need a helipad in Johnson County?
Right? Oh, so silly. But something that is readable, user-friendly, that tells us where is the voting location, the date, the hours, what are our rights for voting, for getting off of work, and what are we voting on?
Mm-hmm.
What is it? What's a precinct chair? What is a delegate? What is a trustee? What is the Secretary of State? Having these descriptions, because a lot of people don't know that. People think that you have to be an attorney to be this job.
No.
We hire attorneys for this office, but we don't do the litigation ourselves. We do not need to be an attorney. So information about that, I would love to include information from each candidate on your ballot so that you don't have to go and look for everything. So you'll have access to their website, their information, maybe 500 characters of what their party platform or what their campaign platform is, but also how to get involved.
Yeah.
She's bad. How do you get involved with your Democratic, Republican, Independent, Green, whatever party in Indiana?
You know what? This right here is the prime illustration of being a woman running for office. Like this so dope. Like you're navigating. Let me finish up this interview. I know it was only supposed to be a half an hour. I'm still talking, and my daughter needs my time. Like you still are parenting. Like this is women. You know how I feel about more women running for office. Man, stop messing with me. Why you keep making me fall in love with you, Blythe Potter? Why do you do that? Why do you? Anyway, but go ahead. I love this idea because more voter information will reduce voter apathy if they know what's going on. I'd love that. You know what? I think I have. I believe I've taken up all of your time, and I'm sorry. Okay, I want to make sure that I clip this and get it right. Give me your parting shot to all the delegates who will be voting on Big Dim weekend at the convention.
Okay. Please be objective. Look at my platform, look at my information, ask me questions. Most of you have already gotten voicemails, texts, or phone calls from me. I am available. I am happy to have a Zoom for any county. I've got several of them already on the books. I have a sustainable plan, not only to get myself elected, but to also help down ballot candidates, not just this year, but also beyond. And we are able to raise money. In fact, we were doing really well until it was a two-person race. And I don't think people understand the barriers that we've had to overcome for this campaign. I started connecting with county parties last June, and I still have about 15 or so who have yet to even acknowledge my existence. Mm-hmm. So we've had to be creative, and we've seen in real time and public on social media that we have county party leadership telling me I don't have enough money, but also hosting fundraisers for my opponent. We are not on an even playing field, and I knew that would be likely the case. And I still think we are doing very well. So we will continue to campaign. We will continue to fundraise, and we can win this. We absolutely can raise over $1 million. And when people win, the support comes with it, as does money, and we will just continue to move forward.
Tell them the truth, girl.
If
you win, the money will come. It will.
Yeah, because Democrats are going to support Democrats.
Yes,
and I have paid staff. I have had paid staff, and we have a ground game planned, as well as where we need to get our field organizers. We have a budget ready for that. So we are set up. The only thing my campaign is lacking is money, and money can be had. You cannot make a campaign more ethical or moral or palatable in some situations. So I really want people to be objective about that, because we need a big overhaul, and it needs to be sustainable, because we have got to have a party that survives not just this year, but going forward.
Blythe Potter, thank you so much for joining me on Turn Left. I know I was only supposed to get a half an hour. And for the listeners out there who are like, wait a minute, I think Dana's picking on Blythe. Because you know what's going to happen, right? You know what's going to happen.
I like the hard questions. I want people to say that they voted for the candidate that answered the questions and they got the answers that they wanted. I want people to confront me with any rumor, whatever.
I don't deal with rumors. I don't do that. But I think what I forgot for just a minute was this was supposed to be an interview, and I was talking to my friend. You know what I mean?
Well,
So
I think maybe even the first time we met, you are personable enough, and I think that's okay because people need to see candidates being human too.
yeah, like you're my friend, and I will always hug you when I see you. So, I wish you the absolute best of luck. Was it June 6th?
June 6th,
June
13 days
6th.
after today.
So 2 weeks out, June 6th. We're recording this on 5/23, so I wanted to kind of get it as close to the convention and still have time to edit and get time to get the clips up as I possibly could. I am so proud of you for running your campaign, not wilting, not getting pushed to the side, not allowing people to intimidate you to stop doing what you're doing. Because I don't say nothing, but I see it, right? Yeah. I know what I see. And just remember that when it's all said and done, all of us have got to come together. And no matter who comes out on Saturday, that June 6th, I am going to be rooting for them. And I really just hope you know how much I care for you. Like, I hope, I want everybody to know, like, I'm probably going to have to edit this down a little bit. Cause like, I'm going to wait till I do the other candidate and then I'll see how long that one is. And then I'll make sure everybody gets equal time. But I'm proud of you, sis.
Thank you. I'm proud of you. And I think that's one of the cool things about being a Democrat in Indiana is we have a growing network of people who really care a lot about the state. Sometimes gets delivered differently and looks different, but we're going to have a good year. Just regardless of what Diego and Trump do, we are going to have a good year.
We're going to have a damn good year.
We are.
All right. Indiana's own Dana Black, turn left. Yo, Blythe Potter running for Secretary of State. See, that's what happens when homies get together. We end up talking much longer than we're supposed to. But listen, guys, January, if you are a delegate, this is for you. This is your video. Right? This is an opportunity for you to see interaction, not just talking points, not just, it was just two homies, and she might have a slight advantage because I know her like that. And so I will make sure that I give, her opponent the same deference because, I don't know him as well, but golly, I'm not endorsing anybody. I need y'all to understand. This is just me having a conversation with my friend. And if you guys felt like I was a little too hard on her, I wasn't. I wasn't. I know. So, guys, turn left. Blythe Potter for Secretary of State. Indiana's own Dana Black. Thank you so much for tuning in. I will holler at you next time. Peace. Turn Left is the property of Black Pearl IT Solutions. Executive producer, Indiana's own Dana Black. Music by Dorian and 22 from Pixabay.